Well, here's a good example. Harrison, you posted 2 weeks before Charlie Kirk died that there was a credible threat against his life. Has the FBI reached out to you to ask you about that?
No.
Also,
No.
like, are you going to tell us who that was? It feels like that might be relevant.
FBI, Kash Patel has not come and asked him anything about, who said he feared for his life? We all know who's leading the investigation. It's Candace, right? It's not Kash Patel. Kash Patel's leading the cover-up. Candace Owens did a Twitter space last night talking about Fort Huachuca. Harrison Smith of the InfoWars show joins the broadcast. Something very interesting was discussed. As we all remember, Harrison Smith posted like 2 months before Charlie Kirk was unalived that he heard from someone, he didn't say who, but Harrison Smith of InfoWars said he heard from someone that Charlie Kirk was worried that he shouldn't be criticizing Israel because they were going to unalive him if he did so. And then when Charlie Kirk was unalived, everyone went back to that tweet and was like, what the hell? What? How did Harrison Smith know that? Take a listen.
Well, here's a good example. Harrison, you posted 2 weeks before Charlie Kirk died that there was a credible threat against his life. Has the FBI reached out to you to ask you about that?
No.
Also,
No.
like, are you going to tell us who that was? It feels like that might be relevant.
First off, no. FBI hasn't reached out. Is that not just a weird thing? Let's say, hypothetically, your wife gets murdered, right? And her friend sent a text message. Her friend posted on Instagram like, oh, like, I really fear for her life because I hear that she told me that she's fearing for her life. So pray for, my friend. And then it turns out that your wife gets murdered. That would kind of be the place that you start. You'd say, hey, detective, my wife's friend posted a week before she died that she had told her she was fearing for her life. I have no idea what was going on. I don't know, but here you go. I want to give this information to you. Maybe go ask the friend of my wife, now deceased, why she was posting that my wife, now deceased, feared for her life. Harrison Smith was the friend. And FBI, Kash Patel has not come and asked him anything about, who said he feared for his life? Who told you that? What was going on? What other things did they tell? Was it just that? Was there some context? No one's investigated that. There was also Twitter users the day before Charlie was unalived posting, like insinuating that tomorrow he's going to get unalived. As far as we know, there's been no investigation. If there was no investigation into Harrison Smith, why can we assume that there was investigation into any of the other people that were posting this stuff beforehand? That's a question. Why would they not ask Harrison Smith the question? Did Harrison Smith know something he wasn't supposed to know? And maybe they don't want that conversation to take place in any sort of official capacity. They don't want that appearing on some transcripts that are going to get leaked 70 years from now, when this is like a long forgotten conspiracy theory that's debated over the dinner table. We're going to be begging in the year 2070 some like Gen A president to release the Charlie Kirk files, and then we're going to find out that Kash Patel had sent someone to ask Harrison Smith about this and threaten him not to say anything about, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but you understand where this kind of going. It looks a bit weird that no one would have asked him that.
Relevant now.
Yeah. So in the absence of a rigorous investigation by the agency, we are led to lead this investigation. That is why Fort Huachuca is so relevant. But I was going to ask you, thank you, Candace. Can you tell us who told you that? Because
He's
the
dead now.
FBI is not asking you.
Yeah, I mean, the person that told me asked me not to say who they were, so I'm not going to give up a source. Sorry.
Okay.
I understand Harrison Smith not stating that publicly on a live stream. Fully understand. But, I mean, I don't understand why he wouldn't just tell that to Candace in private. If it could help with the investigation. We all know who's leading the investigation. It's Candace, right? It's not Kash Patel. Kash Patel's leading the cover-up. I think it would behoove him and anyone who supports the truth coming out for him to, well, maybe there's some specific reason that he could describe as to why he doesn't even want to tell Candace that information. Maybe he fears that person's life will be at risk. I don't know. Maybe he could talk to that person and see if they'd be okay with the idea of sharing that information with Candace. I fully understand him not saying it on a live stream, though, especially not with his source's consent. But, you know, he is dead. He is dead. And whatever that person knew could be relevant to what's going on now. It's just one more piece in the pile of evidence, the growing, massive, heaping pile of evidence that we have that there was something suspicious going on. It directly related to Charlie's uptick and increase against the state of Israel. And, well, I think that's relevant. I think that's relevant. So my message to you, Harrison Smith, is if you who works at InfoWars under Alex Jones, you know, maybe, I really believe this, maybe if you want to do some good in restoring the reputation of Alex Jones and InfoWars, maybe talk with that source. Go back to that person and say, hey, by the way, would you be okay discussing this publicly? Would you be okay if I named who you are? Would you be okay if I gave a little bit more context as to what you knew if you're not okay with me naming who you are? You know, because right now things are looking a little bit weird. Laura Loomer goes to Israel, Tel Aviv. She meets with all these Netanyahu officials, in all likelihood, Netanyahu himself. And then magically, Alex Jones flips out on Candace, calls her CIA, MI6, globalist agent, Democratic Party, deep state. Still waiting on that apology, Alex, by the way, because no one actually believes anything you said. First of all, because you had no evidence. Second of all, because you this whole thing was right after you had a 1 hour conversation with Laura Loomer. Third of all, because it just sounded fake. It sounded like when you flipped out on Owen Schroyer. Sounded the same thing. Extremely fake. Alex Jones fraud maxing right now. Let's get the truth out there. Let's get the truth out there. And the only way we can do it is if these people who have information lay all of their cards out on the table. That's the only way possible. Okay? What we know right now about Fort Huachuca, it's very simple. Mitch Snow was at Fort Huachuca. We know that from the police report that was called in. We know he's an Army Green Beret. Not one of the individuals alleged to have been at Fort Huachuca during the meeting or during the time, the lead up to the meeting on the 8th as well, have given solid alibis for their whereabouts. There's a lot going on, a lot of fake alibis. Here we go.
He told us that this incident happened and the bomb dogs were called. So I made an effort and successfully got the police report. That's how we verify whether or not he's a pathological liar, is by verifying what he said, right? And so that's why, as I said before you jumped on, I reached out to the people that were involved. I reached out to Brian Harpole 3 times. He wanted to give an alibi in the sense of like giving flights for 3:42 that afternoon. Okay, so what's stopping you from giving us what you're doing at 7:30 a.m., right? Like that kind of is what's weird. It's like you give half an alibi that doesn't matter, but you don't want to give the full thing. You don't want to just message me and say, hey, just so you know, that wasn't me. So that's what we're actually doing, is trying to verify the last thing, which is just like really his memory. He did tell the truth. He told the truth about everything that happened that morning. And so the last thing is, does he have a good facial memory? And thus far, we've not been able to, you know, and I am in the process, as I said, of speaking with Turning Point USA. We haven't yet gotten a clean answer from people who have indicated that they do want to give an alibi, right? Because Andrew Colvett is messaging Paramount Tactical with an alibi. Well, I'm your girl. I'm the only one I think that's trying to debunk Mitch. Like, because I'm like, give me your alibi and I will post it. You know. So yeah, I think that's
I guess Mike.
It's so weird. It's like they'll go on Barry Weiss show. They'll go on CBS. Erika Kirk will go on 500,000 Fox News shows and say Candace needs to stop. She needs to stop. These people, the conspiracies, they need to stop. Okay, you know how you stop it? It's so simple. You stop it by saying, Candace, I was here at that time that you allege on the 8th. Brian Harpole was here. Amodi was here. Okay, maybe they don't want to involve okay, whatever. We were here. We were not there. We're not where you were alleging or you're asking questions about if we were at Fort Huachuca, if we were nearby Fort Huachuca in a hotel. It's so simple. You want to disprove Mitch? You want to make them all look crazy? Simple. Just give a solid alibi. All we've gotten are fake alibis that prove nothing, that prove they weren't in a specific place at a time no one alleged them of ever being in. Mitch never alleged them of being in. Mitch did not allege he saw Erika on the 9th. She said she was, not at Fort Huachuca at a military base on the 9th. No one said she was in a military base. No one said she was in Fort Huachuca. Brian Harple didn't provide a solid alibi. It's the same thing as the Egyptian plane thing. Erika Kirk said, I was never on an Egyptian plane. I want my in and out and my hot fudge sundae. No one said you were on an Egyptian plane. Weird. Too many weird things. My spidey senses are going off. And they could shut it down, but for some reason, they're just not. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.